American Pistachio Growers would like to thank its members and sponsors for another successful American Pistachio Growers Pistachio Industry Annual Conference, and wish growers the very best for the 2023 season.
Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Nut Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the annual conference of American Pistachio Growers. I'm here with the president, Richard Matoian. We gave a great State of the Industry report, had some really fantastic news as far as the trends of shipments. Can you give us an update on how things are going worldwide?
Sure. First thing I did was recap the last completed fiscal year of shipments, and that ended August 31 of 22. So it does go back a little bit in time, but it's important to compare fiscal year or crop year over the previous year. And it showed that we had our largest shipment year in history, so that's real positive news. But going forward, and this is really the new crop year, so it's starting September 1, 2022 to the present. And the present for us is basically data through January of 23. And it shows that we're down a little bit domestically, about 2.5%, but in our export markets, we're up about 3.9%, and our exports do represent about 65 to 70% of our total production. So with the up and the down, overall, we're up 1.9% in total shipments year over year. So very, very positive trend.
And you mentioned, the EU, how things were, not looking so good for a little while, but have improved tremendously, right?
Yeah. One of the last times you and I got together and we talked about shipments, we were up in many markets, but we were down, particularly in the European Union. And I said, I believe that will turn around. And in fact, it has now turned around where we are now up by, I think it's about 4 or 5% compared year over last year. So very, very positive news there. Shipments over the last 2 months in particular have kind of driven this upward positive trend.
That's great. Now, you also showed a great statistic with India. Right? Yes. No error. It was like, 168% up or something?
It was up like 462%, big numbers. And in Saudi Arabia, our numbers are up year over year about 600%, 632 to be exact. But they're smaller markets, but we see these particular trends that are happening in these markets that are very, very positive, and we feel both the Middle East and in India, we have great potential there on the upside.
Tremendous potential. And what do you think is driving that?
I think in India, it has a lot to do with their diet, their culture, in looking for protein from plant-based products. So we fit all of that, and our nutritional profile is something that they're looking for: fiber, potassium, and healthy nutrition in a nut. I think what we're seeing in general is a little bit of a downturn in China. That's not good news. We see a little bit of a downturn in China, but to counter that is all the upturns in these other markets like Europe and the Middle East and India. Turkey is a component of the Middle East number, and numbers are up there tremendously as well. So hopefully that can be an area where we can develop a market even beyond where we are today.
Now, also in your presentation, you gave some things that you mentioned, like to help us sleep well at night as farmers, versus the things that may keep us up at night. Now, there's some pros and cons, and as far as the outlook for the future of the industry, what are some of those concerns, and what are we doing to mitigate them?
Well, first of all, on the positive side, what helps us sleep at night is the fact that carryover, while it was the highest that we had coming into the 2022 crop, the fact that the 2022 crop was not as large as it was means that the total supply of product that is available for sale This currently is about 212 million pounds less than the previous year. So that's going to take up and really, I think, severely
The issue,
reduce the amount of carryover that we have going into this current crop year in 2023. So that's positive news. The fact that our marketing is continuing to show positive results in a number of countries. The fact that we're doing a number of additional nutritional studies that are showing very, very positive results, and more consumers are getting focused on pistachios. All positive things. The things that do potentially keep us up at night is the ongoing tariffs that we have in a few countries, particularly China. The fact that there's a worldwide, or the potential for a worldwide recession, the inflation that we're seeing here in the U.S., the fact that there could be a new or ongoing issue worldwide that could affect the psyche of consumers. Those are some of the big things that kind of come to mind, that many of which are out of our control, but that have an impact on our sales.
Right, but we understand APG is working away and doing your best to help build markets for the increasingly growing amount of acreage, right? You gave some new stats today on the 2022 planting as well.
Yeah, in 2022, there was about 35,000 acres of new pistachios planted. We know that by 2026, we're going to have over 500,000 bearing acres of pistachios. And by 2026, we potentially will hit 1.5 billion pounds. And so we need to plan today and start marketing today to develop new or existing markets to take up the product that we're going to be producing in the next few years.
So it's going to be quite an amazing ride moving into the future here. We've certainly got our work cut out for us.
We certainly hope to make it a positive ride for the industry, not a negative one, and that is what drives us to help our growers remain economically viable.
Well, thank you, Richard. We really appreciate APG's leadership and efforts in driving demand ahead of production. It's critical. It's critical with where the numbers are. Read more about these things in Pacific Nut Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.